Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. Okay, so does your child question your authority at home? Do you find that your child questions your authority? Or better still, does your child challenge your authority at home? And do you often hear more no's than yeses from your child? Or even any children that you work with or you interact with on a day-to-day basis? Does your child have dogged determination and are very self-assured? Does your child argue back? Does your child talk back at you? Does your child even hit you sometimes? If any of these is true, then you are dealing with a strong-willed child. Hello, good evening. My name is Ivy. I am a teacher and also I'm a coach and mentor to parents, children, and young people. And the idea of me coming on every Sunday to talk to you is because I want to support as many parents as possible to raise resilient, happy, and confident children. And this is not just something that I'm doing here, but over 2 decades, I have worked with parents and children and young people, either in the capacity of a coach, a mentor, or in the capacity of a teacher. And so I'm not just talking because, it's a Sunday, but I'm talking also from the experience of being a parent myself to four amazing, adorable children, ranging from the ages of 17 right down to less than 1 year old. So I have got the knowledge, the expertise, the experience, which is very important to bring to you. But the idea here is not just to talk at you, it is to get you engaged, is to have you talking about your experiences, sharing experiences, but also answering questions as well. So if you're joining me today, I welcome you. Happy Sunday to you. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, or whatever time it is where you are. I will be sharing a few things, a few tips and tricks on how to raise confident, strong-willed children. But it's not just about the tricks, you see. It is more so about becoming a confident parent so that you can raise your child the best way possible. And so that you can have children who are resilient and confident and happy. So it's not just me giving you tricks, but it's me being on a mission to move every single parent that I come across to impact their parenting positively. That is the mission I have. And I hope that I can see you on this journey as a parent, or maybe as a friend to another parent. Now, if you're just joining me, hello. I can see your comments. I can see a few people in the chat. Hi, Beryl. Hello, Edith. Good evening. Please do share the video and welcome other parents in your network, because sometimes we come across these really, really useful messages and we keep them to ourselves. Why do you want to keep it to yourself, by the way? Please share it. And whilst you're sharing it, I will also share to the parents in my network so that they can come on board and together we can raise children who would make the next generation a more resilient generation, who will make the next generation a more confident, a much happier generation. You and I know that our children are growing in an environment which is riddled with stress, which is riddled with anxiety. So we have to provide the best that we can with the resources that we have to our children. And one of such resource is me coming on every Sunday and talking to you about either how to raise confident children or how to raise strong-willed children like I'm going to do today. So I hope that you can hang in there and we can go on this journey together. Okay. Now, so like I said, to start with, who is a strong-willed child? You know, sometimes different cultures. I come from a predominantly Black African culture. Different cultures have different ways of addressing or calling such children. For some cultures, they say they are naughty children. In some households, let me not even talk about cultures. In some households, they'll say this child is headstrong. In some households, they'll say that it's a heady child. In other households, they call it different things. However, if we really, really look at it, if the child is being headstrong, could it be an incident where the child, or could it be the case that the child is a strong-willed child? So, strong-willed children are those children that have dogged determination. It's like they have a mind of their own. Every child does. But when you come across a strong willed child, we're talking about a child who is very, very self assured, who would stand on their ground and not say and not do as you're asking them to do, who wants to be in control, a child who seems to, they want to control the outcome, the situation at every given moment. I saw a video the other day that one of my sisters that I follow on Facebook that she shared, and she asked what could be done to this child. So in this video, the child was threatened to be beaten just to say please, and the child vehemently refused to say please. And from my observations, that child must have been 4 years old, and they refused to say please. Do you have such a child at home? Maybe we are talking about your child and you're thinking, I don't know what to do with this child. I have done everything that I possibly can and nothing is working. So, what about you hang in there and listen to what I'm about to say? So, if you have a strong willed child on your hands, what can you do? How can you parent that child in a way that avoids frustration? Because the pain for the parent who has a strong willed child is that they often are frustrated. They have a lot of frustrations coming along with parenting that child because the parent is often, or the child is often talking back. The child is often answering back, especially when they get into those teenage years. It doesn't start it doesn't start when the child is a teenager. It starts from when the child is maybe uh, 2, 3, you start noticing some of those traits of a strong willed child. But also, you find that as a parent, you are losing. Hi, sis. Hello, good evening. Please, if you've just joined, if you've not shared it yet, do share it. I really urge you to share it because this is one of the things that most of the parents who come into my inbox, this is the one thing that they talk about. My child does not listen to me. My child is not doing what I'm saying. Hey, Pepe, good evening. I I am able to see some of the numbers. I can't see all of them because I'm using a streaming website. So if you've come in, please do share in your community, share to the people in your network as well. I would really appreciate that. I'm sorry. Maybe you have one of those children where, before you say one, they have said 10. Typical teenage behavior, right? So if you have a strong willed child as a 2-year old, maybe you tell them to sit down and they say no. straight up. And irrespective of what you do, you yell, you shout, you scream, you even threaten to beat them up, and they are still saying no. What do you do as a parent? Now, before I even go into these 6 things that I'm going to talk to you about, there is one thing that I must emphasize here. As a parent, the journey to parenting, especially if you have a strong willed child on your hands, you have to be very patient with the child and with yourself. Your patience has to come into play. You have to have a lot of it. Okay? Be patient because change takes time. There are things that you want to change about yourself. It takes time for you to change them. So be patient with your child. So, what is the first thing I'm going to talk to you about? The first thing that you can do to parent a strong willed child is to look, first of all, at your beliefs. What are your beliefs as a parent? What is your fundamental core belief about what parenting is all about? Being a parent is all about. Do you believe that being a parent is I am in control all of the time? It means you are going to get really frustrated most of the time. Do you believe that as a parent, you have to do everything that I say? It means you will get frustrated all the time. Do you believe that as a parent, your child is there to do every single thing that you say? Then your frustration is going to increase. Do you believe that as a parent, your child has their own agency? What I mean by agency is your child has a mind of their own and they can choose to do as you say or not to say that. What is your belief about what being a parent is? Once you have established that belief, it is going to either make you more frustrated or to make you less frustrated. Okay? So, fundamentally, as a parent, your role is to give nurture and structure to that child. Now, there are certain things that come under nurturing and structuring, something which I've talked about in one of my old videos. I'm really not going to go back into that. If you've not watched any of my old videos, go back and find, the role of a parent. I think that must have been the first video that I made here. Um, you know, Go back and find that video and watch it. So your fundamental role of as a parent is to nurture and to structure. Nurture is love, providing basic necessities like clothing, like shoes, like food, shelter. That is nurture. Structure is about giving that child a routine, for example, establishing rewards and consequences for actions, bringing up expectations of your household, you know, laying down the rules that apply in your household. That is structure. So those are your 2 roles as a parent. Now, what is the second thing about? So once let me just go back to that belief. Once you've established your beliefs about what being a parent is, then you can start to see that if my belief about being a parent is everything that I say you have to do it by hook or by crook, then it increases your frustrations, because fundamentally your strong-willed child is very determined not to do as you tell them. They do not, strong-willed children will not like control. They will not like heavy-handed control, let me say so. They will thrive when there's structure, but they will not like heavy-handed control. And so there are certain ways that you have to navigate those situations with them to still maintain the harmony in your household. Okay? And can I just say, this has nothing to do with gentle parenting or whatever the latest hype on parenting is out there. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with you maintaining the calm and peace and nurturing and structuring that household so that you can have resilient, confident, and happy children. Okay? So, understanding your beliefs as a parent will enable you to be able to work on your beliefs. There are some beliefs that you have. What are your beliefs, anyways? Your beliefs are formed as a result of your experiences, a sum total of your experiences. Everything that you have gone through in life helps to form your beliefs. Everything that you come across, you feed yourself with. Everything that you, when I talk about feeding yourself, it's not necessarily food. Everything that you see, you read, you engage with, everything that you experience, all of those things join together to form what your beliefs are. And so your upbringing is very important, or was very important, in forming what your beliefs were about what a parent is. If you grew up in a predominantly authoritarian household, then it means fundamentally you believe that maybe the mom and the dad in the house should have control and full authority over their children. And if that is your belief and you have a strong willed child, then there's going to be a lot of clashes. And you don't want a situation where you're constantly clashing with your child. After all, you are the adult in that relationship. Parent-child relationship, you are the adult. You should be able to manage yourself better. Now let me move to point number 2. I have spent a lot of time on point number 1. Now, let me just say, if you really want to explore what your beliefs are about parenting or about what a parent is, then you would have to send me a message. We can work together and you can explore those in greater depth, because I have courses, I have mentoring programs, I have one to one coaching and mentoring, which helps you to explore all of those things. What I'm just saying here are little pointers, okay? And if you really want to dig in and understand yourself, your child, and move your home or your parenting forward, then perhaps you may want to consider, you know, sending me a message or something like that. Number 2, set. You have to set clear expectations. It is not just about setting these clear expectations. You have to communicate these clear expectations, because tell you what, a strong willed child is very, very witty. They are very witty. First off, let me just say children are manipulative, including my own children, including your own children. Even that your golden child that you have at home, that you think this child is so golden, nothing can ever go wrong with them, right? They are manipulative as well. They are selfish. My children are selfish as well. And they will manipulate you into several different scenarios, or out of several different scenarios, sometimes even smiling. That is the nature of a child. But if you set clear, if you set and communicate clear expectations, then you eliminate that ambiguity about, well, I did not know that I should do this or that or the other. And like I said, a strong willed child is very witty. They would outsmart you and say, but mom, you did not say that to me, or dad, you did not tell me that. And so I can't do it. So, in your communication style, you have to be very clear and very concise. Make sure you set routines and structure within your household. If you have a strong willed child, that is the more reason why you, as a parent, you have to set those routines and structures. Okay? And you have to be consistent. I think the issue with many parents, including myself, is that we start something amazing. It is working so well, but we lack that consistency. We don't carry on with it. We start it, we don't carry on with it, we stop because, well, maybe it was too tasking. For example, my son, he is 4 months old now, almost 5 months old, and he does not sleep in his cot. Okay. Now, I gave up trying to put him in his cot. I wasn't consistent. I started off, a few nights he cried. I was very sleep deprived and I gave up. Okay. I brought him into my bed. I gave up. Now, if I had consistently stuck to that routine of putting him in bed at the right time and in his cot, he would have gotten used to by now. It is the same for all children. You have to start early. I'm sorry, and you have to be consistent. If you are not consistent, then as a parent, you are being very ambiguous. Tell you what, children actually thrive in consistency. They feel safe. And for a strong willed child, even more so. Because fundamentally, even though they are strong willed, they are still a child and they want to know that my parents will keep me safe if I stick to the rules. Okay, number two or number three, you have to find and implement ways to give them more autonomy. If you have a strong willed child, it means the child is very independent. Okay. That is one really positive thing about strong willed children. They are very independent, they are very autonomous, and they will take decisions that will lead them into a ditch, but they are independent decision makers. Okay. They are determined, their dogged determination means that they are independent. And so you have to create scenarios where you give them autonomy in the household. Okay. Now, am I saying that you allow them to do as they please? No. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, as a parent, you determine the outcome, but you give them a choice of how to get to the outcome. Notice what I'm saying. For example, if I want my child to turn off the TV, that is the outcome, that the TV is off. I can give them a choice. The choice is, I would like for you to turn off the TV now. And the response would be, no, I would not. Then I would say, it is either you turn the TV off or I turn it off. So you've given them a choice. Who is going to turn the TV off? What do you think they'll do? Who do you think they would choose for that to turn the TV off? Is it you, the parent, whom they want to show their authority over, or is it them who want to be in control? Obviously, the child will say, no, 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 mommy, I'll turn it off. Hello, Margie, good evening. No, 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 I'll turn it off myself. So the thing is, with a strong willed child, give them that autonomy. Tell them it is either you come here of your own accord or I pick you up myself. If you're going out, for example, you're going out of the house and you have a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old who is very strong willed and will not go out, you can tell them, okay, I would like for us to go out. It is either you go out on your own legs or I'm going to carry you. So they would want to prove their independence. They will want to go out on their own legs. Okay. The other day I was talking with a friend and, you know, and I suggested a few things and she did, which was, it worked like magic, you know? Okay. So if your children were fighting over, maybe if you have a strong willed child who is fighting over maybe a seat in the car or a particular seat, you know, you can tell them, okay, it is either you move now or you move in 10 minutes time. Notice here, I am not changing the outcome. The outcome is you have to move. So I choose the outcome, but I give you a choice of how to get to the outcome. And for a strong willed child, they appreciate that. They think that they are still in control because children want to be in control, especially strong willed children. They want to be in control. Okay, trust me on that. But if you give them that choice, then it makes them feel good about themselves. It makes them feel autonomous. I am so sorry. I'm choking on my own speed. Okay, right. That's interesting. So, um, where was I? Okay, autonomy. Okay, make sure that as a parent, you determine the outcome, but you just provide ways of getting to the outcome. I think this is a really good point to just stop and say that I really appreciate those of you who are watching, and that if you have not shared the stream, please do share it. I really want to reach as many parents as possible. And I know that if you're watching here, you probably most likely either are a parent or you have parents in your community or your network whom you can share this stream with. I would really appreciate that. But also, in the near future, we will be coming up with some products, webinars, and several things that parents can engage with. If you are one of those parents and you would like to be kept up to date with what we are doing, I will be putting very shortly in the comment a link to a mailing list. I'm not asking you to buy anything just yet, but I'm asking you to input your email so that if we have any discounts, if we have any workshops, if we have any maybe lives like these ones or episodes to the podcast that will one of those we're going to have next week, then I can keep you informed on what we're having. I'm not going to send you junk mail. Everything that I will send you has to do it is going to do with parenting. So I will be putting the link in the chat in the next few minutes. Okay. So just bear with me to put the link in the chat whilst I okay, right, here we go. Okay, so there is the link in the chat. If you want to, I've just put the link there. If oh, okay, the link has gone to YouTube. Okay, let me put the link on Facebook as well. So the link has gone to YouTube. Let me put it on Facebook. So if you want to join our mailing list and um if you want to join our mailing list and you want to get involved with all of our workshops, some of our workshops are free, some of them are paid for, and all our activities and things that we will be bringing out in the future, please click on that link. All we need is your email address and your first name, and that's it, and then you will be kept up to date. Okay, let me move on to number 3. Okay, number 3 is take the time to notice and reward your child. Fundamentally, every child likes to be appreciated. Okay, even adults like to be appreciated. Every child likes to be appreciated. So if you have a strong-willed child, notice when they are doing as they've been asked to do and reward them for it. And when you reward them, be as descriptive as possible. I asked you to choose how to turn the TV off, and you independently did it yourself. Well done for that. So be very descriptive. I know that I grew up in a typical African home, okay, household, where rewards or verbal recognition was not necessarily the case. Now, our parents did the best that they could with the resources that they had. Now, you are a parent, you know better. You're bringing up your child in a completely different era. The principles of upbringing stay the same, nurture and structure. However, the strategies have to change with the times. Okay? So, recognizing and rewarding your child outwardly nowadays is a very common thing, and it's something that you need to do often so that your child can feel that you recognize them, you see them, you're giving them attention, you're seeing them being good. It's not just because there are some children who often say, it doesn't matter what I do, my mom doesn't even see me, or it doesn't matter what I do, it's never going to mean anything to you. And if your child ever has said that, or if your child has said that recently, all they need is for you to give them attention. All they need for you to do is to recognize when they are being good and acknowledge it to them. So, number 3, take the time and notice and reward. The fourth thing that you can do to effectively parent a strong willed child is the use of language and tone. It is really important that as a parent, you are using the right language and the right tone to your child, with your child. If I come to my child and I want them to do something, and I keep saying, "Oh, please, can you do this for me? I really would like for you to do this." You are not. If that thing is serious and you really want them to do, your tone is not conveying the information. First, your tone has to convey the severity of what you're saying. Secondly, Your language has to convey the severity of what you're saying if it's a severe thing. If you're joking, fine. So you have to change your tone and language to reflect what you're expecting from your child. If you're expecting for them to do something with urgency, you have to inject urgency into your voice. Notice how I am changing my voice and my tone to emphasize when I want to say something really important. And then I am sitting back as well. My whole body language is emphasizing, okay? When I want to show emphasis. You have to do that with your children as well because they are watching and learning. They know when you are serious. They know when you're not serious. They know when you're not going to follow through. They know when you're going to follow through. Okay? You don't always have to resort to yelling because that yelling, even even though it may work here and there, it doesn't always work all the time and it's not sustainable either. Yelling is not sustainable. And I know that there are some parents who say, well, I put up my hands, I yell all the time, and it works for me. But my question to you as a parent who yells all the time is it sustainable? Is it sustainable for you to always have to yell before your children do it? What about a situation where you can just say and then they do it? Is that possible? So you have to change your tone. Okay? My son often says to me, and there are times when I yell, okay? But every time I yell, he says, Mommy, raise your words and not your voice. And it gets me every single time because, he's not a child who would not do as he's told, especially. But sometimes I just can't help it, especially when I've said it once, twice. I can't help it but yell. But he constantly says, well, I forgot to do it and I'm going to do it now. But could you raise your words, not your voice, please? And it hits me. So raise your words. Right now, if I'm raising my words, I am using my body language, I'm using my tone, I'm using my language as well, my spoken communication, and I'm telling you to take this, what I am saying to you, seriously. Thank you. Notice I did not say, please, can you take this seriously? If I say, please, can you take this seriously? Do I even mean it? I'm giving you the choice, the option, whether to take it seriously or not. But if I say, take what I am saying to you seriously, thank you. I have emphasized with body language. I have said thank you. There's a difference between please and thank you. I often say thank you at the end of a sentence when I'm talking to children in school, my own children as well. I do not necessarily say please before I start that instruction. I give the instruction and then I say thank you at the end. Do you know why I drop that thank you at the end? It means when you drop a thank you at the end, you're how do they say, superimposing? Well, you're supposing, okay? You're supposing that they have done it already. And it plays on their psyche. If I say thank you, it means I am implying that you've already done it. And so I'm thanking you for it. It plays on the psyche of children. They will do it because you've already said thank you. But if you say, please, 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 if you keep using please, it puts you in a weaker position as a parent. It puts you in a position of less authority as a parent. So you need to stand in your authority as a parent because you are a figure of authority in that child's life after all. Okay? So your tone is very important. Using thank you at the end of the sentence or the end of the instruction instead of please at the start of the instruction goes a long way to enable the child to do what you want them to do. Okay? And manage your emotions. That is number 6. Manage your emotions. You have to manage your emotions as a parent. You are the adult. You're expected to have a hang on your own emotions better than the child does. So at all times, do not react but respond. Respond to the child, even if they are yelling, even if they are raising their voice. Manage your emotions. Respond, do not react. When you react, you're coming from a place of being emotional. When you respond, you are telling them, use that descriptive language, like I said. Okay, use the descriptive language. Thank you. Hello, Roland. Good evening. Thank you for joining today. Hi, Abia. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much. Please do share and share with other parents in your network. If you can share it on your Facebook page so that it reaches as many parents on your page as possible, I would really appreciate that. So make sure you manage your emotions. And guess what? If you have a strong willed child on your hands, they will push your buttons. Absolutely, they will. They will push your buttons to an extent that you would almost snap or you would snap. I have snapped in the past. Many of us have snapped as parents. As a teacher, there are times in a classroom when I've snapped. Let me tell you a good story. A good example. Several years ago, I worked at a school where I had this one student, okay, a 15-year-old boy in year, I think that was year 10. Year 10 is like Form 4 in Cameroon. A 15-year-old boy, and he would come into the classroom. He was a pain in the backside. He would come into the classroom. He would throw things around. He would be disrespectful to you. He would shout across the classroom. He would not be learning. And every time he did that, I would just calmly follow the school rules. If he carried on, I sent him out of the classroom. I would be like, well, you're disrupting everyone else. You need to stand outside. And he'll be like, stand outside. Stand outside. I have asked you to stand outside. I'll come and talk to you when I'm ready. Stand outside. And I just kept doing that. And one day I called him and I said to him, let's just call him um, Peter, for example. Okay. That's not the real name, but that's just a name that came to mind. Peter. And I said, Peter, at the end of the lesson, I would really like to have a conversation with you. Is that all right? And then he sat back down. Okay. And while everyone was leaving, he sat down. And I said to him, look, there are several things that I have noticed. Okay. Every day when you come into my classroom, this is how you behave. You throw a tantrum. You're throwing pens across the classroom. Like today, for example, I asked you to stop talking. You carried on talking for another 2 minutes. And that disrupted the rest of the class, which meant they were not learning as much as they had meant to learn. I asked you to stand outside and I had to ask you 3 times before you went outside. Now, can I just understand why this is happening? And I was talking to him, looking at him dead in the eyes, face to face. And he said, Miss, since from the beginning of this term, you have been very strict. You have been picking on me. And you have been talking to me about my behavior. And I said to him, well, I understand that you think I have been picking on you. However, let's just unpick your behavior. These things that you have done, what is the reason behind you doing these things? And eventually he said, I really wanted to wind you up. But every time I try to wind you up, you don't get angry. You don't show any emotion to me. You don't show that you're angry. And so it angers me even more. And I said to him, why are you trying to wind me up? Why do you want me to get angry? And he said, well, I don't know. I seem to get everyone angry in the school apart from you. I seem to get every other teacher angry apart from you. And I said, you need to stop trying, because I'm not going to get angry with you. The behavior you're making, I am disappointed at that behavior. I am not angry at you. I'm just really disappointed that you think it is all right to behave in that way. One, you disrupt your learning. Two, you disrupt the learning of others. And three, you disrupt my learning and you waste my time. This is not anger, this is disappointment. And immediately his head dropped. Why did his head drop? His head dropped because he was disappointed by the fact that even though he has done everything to make me angry, I did not show anger. Was I not angry? I was. I was seething on the inside. Trust me, I was. But because I made the choice to control my emotions and focus on the behavior of the child and not the child, it meant he was disappointed. So if you have a strong willed child on your hands, you have to control your emotions. Otherwise, you're going to get into trouble. If you are in the West, you will beat that child, okay, eventually, and you will get into trouble. Guess what is going to happen? Social services will get involved, and that is a different ball game altogether. You really don't want that. But besides that, you are the adult, like I always say. In that relationship, that parent-child relationship, you're the adult. So you have the responsibility to manage your emotions way better than your child. So at all times, stay calm. Restate your expectation. If you have to say it 3 times, do it. Remember, I said at the start, routines, expectations, very clear, well communicated. Communicate the expectation again. If you ask them to do something and they don't do it, say, I have asked you just now, I asked you to do X, Y, and Z. But you have made the choice not to do X, Y, and Z. You know clearly the consequence for doing X, Y, and Z instead of doing A, B, and C. So, this is the consequence. Take the emotion out of it because they are pushing your buttons so that you lose control. That is the nature of children. Once you understand that and know that, you know peace. You know that your child is not just trying to anger you, to make you angry. They are children after all, whether they are strong-willed or they are not. And finally, as a parent, manipulation will not work on strong-willed children. So, if for your other child you tell them that you made me feel really upset, fine, it may work with some of your children, okay? For the children who are very reflective, very empathetic, it will work on them. But for your strong-willed child, it is not going to work. For the strong-willed child, go back to the previous point that I talked about taking the emotion out of it. Because fundamentally, when parents say, you made me do this, you're manipulating your child, okay? You're making your child to feel guilty for doing something and then to change that behavior. But for a strong willed child, guilt tripping is not going to work. You have to set those expectations. And I know that for a parent, this can be very tricky. It can be very difficult to do that because fundamentally, you love your child. You're emotionally invested in your child. But remember, emotional intelligence is not the absence of emotions. Emotional intelligence means that sometimes you have to outwardly show your emotions, and sometimes you have to lock up those emotions in a bottle and put them away somewhere. Okay? When you discipline your child, it is not because you love them any less. And when I talk about discipline here, I'm not talking about beating. Okay? I have to be really clear. Because sometimes as parents, we punish our children instead of disciplining them. That is a whole different, a whole different life that I'm going to do. The differences between punishment and discipline. Hello, Louisa. Thank you for joining today. Please remember to share it. Share, share, share. I cannot emphasize this enough. Okay? Share to as many parents as possible. So, like I said, the last and final point before I ask you to ask any questions, if you have any, please, if you have any questions, just start typing them up in the comments now because I'm kind of rounding up now. So, if you do not manipulate your child, okay, if you have a strong-willed child, do not manipulate them because it will not work. Strong-willed children, they want you to tell them the truth. And when I talk about the truth, what I mean is you tell your child the truth about their behavior with love. So, for example, be descriptive. I asked you just now to do this and you did not do it. Can I understand why you do not do it? Or sometimes call a meeting and tell your child, look, I have noticed that several times, or within the past week, I have asked you 5 times to do whatever. And out of the 5 times, you have done it 2 times, to mean that you have not done it 3 times. That is telling someone the truth. You're giving them the facts, okay? Because emotional manipulation doesn't work on, it's not going to work on a strong willed child, okay? If you tell them, oh, if you don't do this, I'll do that. I love you. I'll not love you any less. I'll do this. I'll do that. It's not probably going to work. You're just giving them an ultimatum now, because that manipulation is not going to work. Fundamentally, do not lecture. Oh, goodness me. I cannot say this enough to parents. Do not lecture. What is a lecture? A lecture is when as a parent, when you go into that emotional state, when your child is not doing as you want them to do, and you start saying, oh, last week I said you should wash the dishes, you did not wash the dishes, it made me very angry, it shows that you don't respect me, blah blah blah. That is a lecture. That is a lecture. It means that you're gradually losing that authority over your child the moment you start to lecture. As much as possible, avoid it, especially if you have teenage children. Avoid lectures. The moment you start to lecture, the child might as well be saying blah 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 blah. That's it. That's what you're saying. They can't hear what you're saying anymore the moment you start to lecture. And do not beat your child. Do not threaten to beat them, because there are other ways of disciplining children, which I can talk about in a different life. And be patient. Be patient. Be patient. Change takes time. You will have to be consistent and be patient with your child, with your strong-willed child, because change takes time. If you did not start at the age of 2, 3, 4, doing all of these things that I'm talking about, if they are already above 10, above 7, know that it is going to take a longer time for them to fundamentally change, because between the ages of 0 and 7, they had pathways laid in their minds already, or in their memory already, in their brains already. Now you're trying to change these pathways for them to start behaving differently. It is going to take time. So, you as the parent, you have to be consistent. You have to make sure that you are patient with yourself and with the child. But remember, the child is not just up to disrespect you. They're children, after all, who need clear boundaries, clear consequences, rewards, and sanctions. They need to be communicated with clearly. You need to use your language and your tone in a way that allows for them to see the severity, or the jokes in what you're saying, and you have to manage your emotions. That is all I have for you today. I always want to keep these under the hour, just so that people who are watching much later, at least they've got less than an hour of video content to watch. But like I said, there are 2 things that I need from you. Okay. The first thing is that if this is your first day watching me, my name is Ivy. I'm a teacher, a mentor, a coach to parents, children, and young people. And the idea is to support parents to parent in a way that allows for them to raise resilient, confident, and happy children, and for the parents themselves to be happy as well. But also, the 2 things that I need from you, the first one is, if you've not shared this stream, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for if you have not shared this stream? To at least 2 parents. Do not just share it on your page. Copy the link, send it in Messenger or on WhatsApp to at least 2 parents in your network. Second thing from me, we are going to be bringing on a lot of information and workshops and webinars and goods and services to parents in particular and to children sometimes. If you want to be kept up to date about what we're doing, join our mailing list. I have put the link in the chat. Join the mailing list, click on it. I don't need anything from you. All I need is your email address and your first name. Join our mailing list, and you will be kept up to date with the most recent. You'll be the first person to be kept up to date with our most recent activities. But more importantly, if we were doing a course, for example, and we were giving a discount, I will be giving discounts to people who are subscribed to the mailing list. You will know about the discount first. And so you can get in there. And often when I give discounts, it's about, okay, the first 10 people get a discount of whatever percentage. So join my mailing list. You will get some emails with tips and tricks about things that I find out about parenting from me. But if you also are a parent and you're really struggling, my number is right there. That is my WhatsApp number. It's not a personal number, it is a business number. Okay. So do not send personal things on there. I do read all the messages and I respond to the messages myself. If you have a question or if you have a confidential thing about parenting only, okay, you can send it to that number. If it's about anything else, you can send me a message on Messenger and I'll respond to you if I can. But if it's about parenting, send it on that number. Finally, if you want coaching or mentoring as a parent, or if you want coaching and mentoring for your child, then also reach out to me on that WhatsApp number that is going on the screen. Okay. Now, that is all I have for you today. I hope that you can come back next week. Next week, we have an episode of Parenting Made Simple podcast. Do not miss it for anything in the world. Do not miss it for anything in the world. And I do appreciate all of you who have come today. Thank you, Louisa. Thank you, Roland. Thank you, Abia. Thank you, Maju. And everyone who, Patience, thank you. Mbappe's Corner, thank you, Patience. Thank you. Edith, thank you. Beryl, thank you. I do appreciate all of you. And I love you. I do. Okay. If no one has told you, you are an amazing parent. You are doing the best that you can with the resources that you have, and you're here learning some more resources. So I take off my hat to you. Ciao. Bye for now. Take care.